Hi guys, sorry to interrupt your video. Just a quick plea, subscribe to my channel please. If you haven't done it already, subscribe. Tell your friends, subscribe. Thanks. Next, how should you approach the zebra crossing? Right, let's go and find it. So go along here, past the dude with the stick, past them, she's walking funny, and up ahead I can see a zebra crossing. Here it comes. Right. People come out of it. They come out of that house or shop or whatever that is. So how should you approach a zebra crossing? Right, at the end of the day, if somebody gets to a pedestrian crossing before you, they get priority. You can only go onto that crossing if there is no one around. So potentially the distance here between this building and that pedestrian crossing is very short. It's only the width of a pavement, isn't it? So potentially somebody could be nearer to the crossing than I am, so therefore I must drive expecting that. Just like I teach you guys when you're approaching junctions, you work on the basis of what is somebody else's journey versus what's your journey, and if potentially somebody could get there before you, you should be slowing down until you know that they aren't there, and then you carry on driving again. So don't just keep your speed up. Alright, so how should you approach a zebra crossing? So we go, be ready to slow down or stop to allow pedestrians to cross. That makes sense. So I'm going to click on it, but now I'm checking to see if there's a better option. So slow down and wave the pedestrians across. Never wave a pedestrian across. Speed up and get past the crossing. No, you never speed up into a situation where a pedestrian might walk out in front of you. Sound your horn to warn the pedestrians. No, that's just rude and inconsiderate. So you should always drive slowly where there are pedestrians. For example, in a town centre or on a housing estate. As you approach a crossing, you should look for pedestrians who are ready to cross. Slow down and be ready to stop. You should also look out for people who are approaching the crossing. They may suddenly decide to use it, so you must be ready to stop. So there was the other bloke approaching from the right hand side that was coming towards us. If I move along a bit. Doobie 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 doo. Over here, this dude. So he's approaching. Oh, he's actually leaning. He might actually turn. Is he going to? No, he didn't. Okay, fine. But he could have. And that's a case of, could he get there before you? Must expect that he will. Always assume worst case scenario. 17. You've stopped at the zebra crossing. When may you move off? Right. I have got a document on my website called Pedestrian Crossings. Here it is, and explains all the different types of pedestrian crossings and what we are allowed to do. However, the long and short of it is, whilst technically, according to this, traffic does not have to stop until someone is on the crossing. So if we had somebody stopping there, we don't technically have to cross. An examiner is not going to allow you to go onto a pedestrian crossing if somebody could potentially walk out, because it's dangerous. Safety above all else. Equally, you are not allowed onto the crossing if there is somebody on it. So we can only go when these guys actually get onto the pavement here, because they might drop something, stop and go back again. They could change the direction of travel. So the way to think about pedestrian crossings, I think of it a bit like an inflatable pavement. Okay, so all the time nobody's on it, it's deflated and it is part of the road. But as soon as somebody puts their foot on the crossing, it inflates, it's up, it is now a pavement. And because you shouldn't be driving on pavements when there are pedestrians on the things, you don't go onto it. But it will remain a pavement until they take their foot off it, and then it'll go back down to the road. So technically, if they walked off at an angle, so for instance, if they walked off like that, as soon as they step to here, you could technically move off, but I wouldn't because of the safety aspect of it. Remember, the examiner doesn't have to fail you just when you break a law. He can also fail you when you are driving in an inconsiderate or aggressive or downright stupid manner, right? Because he'll just look at it from a safety point of view. So don't risk it. Okay, but again, go and read the pedestrian crossings document. It explains it all. Very good for your theory. It explains the different types, how to remember them, like your pelicans and your puffins and toucans and Pegasus crossings and all sorts of stuff like this, staggered, you name it. Alright, let's go and look at the lot. So, you stopped at the zebra crossing. When may you move off? When it's clear. So when the pedestrians have cleared your side of the road? No. When pedestrians have completely crossed? Yes. When the oncoming car moves off? When the driver behind you sounds a horn? No. I don't care what the person behind you opinion is. You are not allowed to move off if there is somebody on the crossing. And if they were getting off and there's another person approaching, I would wait to see if that person is going to step onto the crossing. You will only go across if you are guaranteed to be fully across before the second person turns up. Otherwise, you're failing your driving test. So, when a pedestrian uses a crossing, you must wait until they're safely crossed before you can continue driving. When the pedestrian is on the crossing, do not try to hurry them by edging forward or sounding your horn. Be patient and only move off when they're safely reached the other pavement. Oh, this is a good picture, this one, eh? Oh, watch this. You think, whoa, that'll happen in a flash. So, as you approach the roundabout, there's a sign showing a single white bar on a green background. There. What does it tell you? Right. Here we go. Here's some blue ones. There's a document about how to read road signs. Again, there's a whole section on my website which says documents you need to know this for your theory. Crack into it, alright? But long and short of it is, this means there is 300 yards until a thing. And this is 200 and that's 100 yards until a thing. Okay, now on a motorway or a dual carriageway, that means it's a countdown to either a roundabout that's just in front of you, or an exit off, like a slip road, getting off. If you have something above it, like a 30-mile-an-hour sign, for instance, then that would be a countdown to the 30 sign. So it could well be that you have a change in speed limit just around a corner. So they'll put these things up to count you down, saying, oh, it's 300 yards until a 30 or whatever. All right. Now, the colour scheme is really important. Blue and white means motorway. If it's a green background, then you're talking primary A roads, in which case we are talking dual carriageways. Black lines on a white background is a normal everyday B road, housing estate, town driving. And if you have a white one with red stripes, that means you're coming up to a level crossing, so there could be a train coming around the corner. All right. Yes. Yeah, maybe I'm just having a look at something that just suddenly sparked up there. Green back markers may be used on primary routes and white back markers with black bars on other routes. At approaches to a concealed level crossing, white backed markers with red bars may be used. Although these will be erected at equal distances, the bars do not represent a 100-yard interval. So it's just a countdown, 3, 2, 1, and then you get there. Fine. As nobody knows, I think a yard is 93 centimetres anyway, so you can think of it as metres. So that's what that one. So that's a green one. So that's a primary A road or dual carriageway. All right. So as you approach this round, there's a sign showing a single white bar on a green background. What does this tell you? There are chevrons on the roundabout. The roundabout is 50 yards ahead. The roundabout is 100 yards ahead. There you go. Bing. Okay. So as you approach a roundabout or a junction, you often see signs displaying white bars. These are called countdown markers, and they tell you how far it is to the junction. Each bar represents 100 yards. So 3 white bars represents 300 yards, 2 white bars represents 200, 1 white bar represents 100 yards. The background colour will depend on what type of road you are driving along. For example, blue is motorway, green for primary routes. Just what I said. As you approach the roundabout, you want to change lanes. What routine should you follow? Okay, well, whenever you want to do a lane change, you always check it's safe to do it. You tell people what you're going to do when you realise it's safe to do it, or you want to influence their behaviour. And then you can do it. So I'm looking for mirrors, signal, manoeuvre. All right. Oh, there it is. Mirror signal maneuver. Signals the mirrors. No, you always check first. Maneuver. Don't move until you've done it. No. There you go. Before you change lanes, you should think about how your actions will affect other drivers. Use your mirrors to check what's behind you, as well as keep an eye on what's ahead of you. Give a signal to let other road users know the direction you intend to move in, and when it's safe you can change lanes. So check, tell them, then do it. You want to travel on the A61. Which lane should you use at the roundabout? Okay, well, A61 there. Let's play the video. Let's see what we came up with. Christ, are we on a drone or something? Yes. Blimey, that was tailgating. Right, okay, well that happened really fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch that video again. So we're just watching that Fiesta go around the roundabout. Right, thank you. Let's go back. So I've got A61 in the right hand lane, and what's that? A61 in the left hand lane. As I come down here, right, A61 is in the left hand lane there. What's the middle lane doing? Yep, right, so I can be in the middle and left hand lanes, these two lanes here. So only left hand lane? No, either the left lane or middle lane. Yes, I can. Left or middle, that's what it says. Okay, so as you approach a large or complex roundabout, you see a sign telling you the layout of the roundabout and route directions. Use this to choose the lane you need. If there are multiple lanes, there'll often be route numbers marked on the road to help you select the right lane, or correct lane. Get into the lane you need in plenty of time. Don't straddle lanes, and avoid changing lanes at the last moment, like this Fiesta, who's just trying to kill everyone. Okay. Yeah, never travel this close to a vehicle in front. Stay back. He should be up here somewhere so that you can see all the markings. Alright, and remember, if you have two lanes that go to the same place, by default you take the left of the two. So whilst it says you could use either the middle or the left, by default it would be the left one.